Boom, we are live now coming to you guys and ladies and gals and all you, of course, that are diving into the metaverse, because that's going to be the topic today and what is happening that's causing all of the metaverse ecosystems to pump. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to Tech Path. We're going to dive into just that topic. If you have not been following this channel, we have been killing it. I'm telling you, killing it. Great analysis, hopefully giving you guys some insights on many of the charts that we're breaking down, and actually, kind of giving, I feel like we've been able to kind of hit a lot of these predictions, and also just, I really shouldn't call them predictions. It's really just looking at the data and following the numbers, and that has been proving to be the case. But today we're getting into a much bigger and deeper side of the crypto universe, and that is a thing called the metaverse. If you are not familiar with it, essentially it's an ecosystem in which most likely we will see a lot of not only businesses, gaming, financial, probably all walks of life moving into the metaverse in the very near future. So much so that the biggest boy on the block has decided to say, let's just rebrand everything. So here's a story right here from The Verge. Mark Zuckerberg, the Zuck, on his way and on why Facebook is rebranding to Meta. And if you haven't watched what Facebook has been trying to do over the past few years, obviously they tried to do some stuff with a stablecoin, create their own currency. They've now put in their package through their own wallet. They are moving quickly into this space, obviously through a variety of acquisitions that has been the history in the past through social media. But I think what Zuckerberg is really leaning into here is the fact that the shift is now here. The potential of advertising, the potential of selling things in terms of NFTs, all that kind of stuff that will happen in the digital ecosphere of the metaverse will be the future, and I think Facebook is going to be trying to make their way in there very quickly. So here's what he said on Thursday. He officially became the CEO and chairman of Meta, the new parent company name for Facebook. The rebrand is about solidifying the social media giant as being about the metaverse. Zuck also sees the future of the internet going there. I mean, this is really Ready Player One style approach, and you almost think in the way it kind of has elements to the whole storyline for Ready Player One in terms of the big companies that were kind of trying to control the metaverse and where those steps were made and how they were trying to at one point give it back. If you haven't watched that movie, you should check it out. It's Ready Player One. It's a good movie. And it will help you kind of put your head around what's happening right now, because it's very early in the stage of where this is all going. Back to the story. Zuck has been pouring in, this is the big number, billions of dollars, at least 10 billion this year alone, into building the metaverse, an expansive, immersive vision of the internet taken from the pages of, as I just mentioned, Snow Crash and Ready Player One. Facebook first as a company of being metaverse first. That's really kind of what their big move is here. Listen, $10 billion for a company like Facebook, because remember, their ability to advance development is pretty good. Their ability to move markets, marketing, the aspect of administration, server requirements, all those kind of things that you have to build into an ecosystem. This company is a good participant in that area. It's one of the reasons they've pretty much challenged or have become the number one social media, basically, entity on the planet. When you look at that, and then you look at the potential they have just because of their, let's just say, at the first mover position, and the fact that we're looking at over 1 billion people in this ecosystem already, the likelihood to move many of the Facebook users into the metaverse is very high. So 10 billion is a serious move, and of course, just moving into the sense that they are saying, hey, listen, we are going to shift here, and it's definitely going to happen. This is not just though for Facebook, but I want to kind of bring this story up. This is from The Information, and it's basically no longer just crypto curious. Sand Hill Road, if you don't know what that is, most likely if you're watching our show, you know what that is. But Sand Hill Road is essentially the VC capital of the world, and the VCs, that venture capitalists that put money into startups, have decided this is the route to take. You just kind of look at this. For years, most avid investors, crypto startups have been firms that specialize in the category, with notable exception of Andreessen Horowitz, which is a stellar investment or VC investment group and just some of the names that they've been in. Everybody from, whether you look at Google, Facebook, Twitter, Uber, you name them, most likely these groups here, when it comes to companies like Sequoia Capital, have been in those companies from the early stage. So they know and understand when there is a major shift afoot. And I think that's what is happening here. So this year, a quarter of new investments by Sequoia Capital have been crypto related. That's ridiculous for 25% of what these guys are doing. So that's pretty amazing to me. So this is a person, I don't know who gave this lead to the information, but basically someone who has direct knowledge of it. In the latest example, Sequoia and Founders Fund are leading an investment round in 6-month-old crypto startup Parallel Finance that values it at $250 million. Parallel founder Yubo Ruan confirmed. So this was a confirmed deal that they did. Excel, Sequoia Lightspeed Partners, and Bessemer Venture Partners among the top VC firms that have, of course, made these kind of investments this year. And don't forget that you've got the guy who is, I'm trying to remember his name, but he plugged into Algorand, and he used to run Mike, somebody in the comments will help me on that one. But he essentially was the group that started the Algorand investment, and he was one of the first guys that started TechCrunch. And what TechCrunch was basically a media organization that kind of moved in this space. And anyway, my point is early movers are out there in Silicon Valley, and now I think we're seeing the big crop of guys coming in. Some other firms that are thinking about taking the next step, like Andreessen Horowitz did several years with launching their own dedicated crypto funds. Here's Bain Capital, another big time VC, for instance, is raising $300 million fund dedicated to crypto, according to a person, again, with direct knowledge to this. So Lightspeed, big moves. You look at Bain Capital, what's happening with Andreessen, and I just think we're going to see a continued move here, obviously with Sequoia. There is a lot happening with all of this, but here's an interesting thing down here. I wanted to kind of highlight this. So that's for several reasons, the obvious being outsized return specialist funds are posting. This is basically talking about Ripple Labs, which is a digital currency now at 10 billion. Remember who Ripple Labs is and how that's moving. So lots moving in the space, and understanding what I think is going to happen with VCs maybe going in the direction of the metaverse. And this will be questioning whether or not Mark Zuckerberg, being Facebook, starts to make a play for one of the metaverse ecosystems or a group of games. Could be the case. Another story on Facebook was talking about their scenario of actually supporting NFTs. So this is where the company changed its name to Meta. Obviously, we knew that. But really get into it, after teasing the NFT tie-up, Facebook changed its name to Meta, further hinting that the company's commitment to building out its own version of the metaverse. Its stock is going to change, of course, as well. So that itself started to slide in, and really, just to me, just the fascination, I think, with this company and what they're doing with it is going to be super interesting. The question I have, and I want you guys to answer in the comments below, is do you think that Facebook and this guy will be able to truly make a dent in the metaverse? Do you think it's early enough, or is it too late for them to actually make a dent in the metaverse in terms of either building the ecosystem or starting to gobble up a lot of the creators and the game companies that are starting to break out? Remember, they've done it with WhatsApp, they've done it with Instagram, they've been on an acqui-hire type process over the past decade. Could they do that in the early stages here with what's happening in NFT gaming and the metaverse? I'd love to hear your comments on that to see. Make sure and hit us in the comments over here on the live chat. We'll try to get to those here in a minute. Before we get going, though, I want to break out some of the projects that are living within this. There's a lot of these that are recognizable to you, but maybe some are new, and there's so many in terms of what that ecosystem looks like. Who are the game players, and I should say the players in the game, in terms of the metaverse ecosystem? One of them is Sand. And Sand, I want to take a quick look at where that token has moved just because of the announcement. I think with Facebook alone, Sand has really taken, along with many others that have taken huge jumps, and also with the gaming side, huge jumps here recently just in the last day. And that, I think, is one of the things that we're going to continue to see. The question will be is how long this stuff holds, and will it hold where it looks like right now. But sand is trading right here now at $1.08. Sentiment is at 73.29. Amplification flipped on this overnight, obviously right there on October 27th as the news started to break. And then, of course, we started to see the run up. Anytime we see that sentiment and amplification flip, and we get a comment or so every once in a while in the live streams of what is amplification, how does the sentiment layer? It's pretty simple. What we do is overlay an indice of sentiment as compared to where the price action could be. And then amplification is looking at the power of sentiment and whether or not that can forecast a leading indicator, meaning we're pushing out beyond where the stock, or excuse me, where the particular project is right at this time based on amplification. So it's, imagine if you had, 10 influencers or, 10 major, pop culture stars that started to talk about a project. That's amplification because of the reach and impact they have on their ecosystem and the likelihood of that ecosystem, that meaning that network effect, picking it up. That's how amplification works. Anytime we start registering amplification higher than sentiment, that usually gives us an idea that we're going to see some parabolic moves in the particular project. And that was the case with sand. Just to give you an idea, Token Metrics is one of our sponsors of the show, but they do a pretty good job on breaking down some of these projects. And let me zoom up on that one right there. So I wanted to see, okay, well, did Token Metrics give us any technical analysis that helped us identify, was this a potential buy earlier than what we were able to do it? And also many people, I think, and we're going to go to the chart here just to kind of give you an example. This is one of the tools that you can get with Token Metrics. Make sure and use our link in the description below, because that'll helps the channel. So hopefully we continue to bring you this free and open content. But what you'll notice here is, and I want to kind of zoom in on this just in the chart itself, is they drop these dots in here that are the red and green, very similar to like a red dot or a blood diamond in Market Cipher if you use Market Cipher for your technical analysis. But this was back in May. And this, of course, we saw this massive correction, and this was the bearish signal that they gave back at that time. The other scenarios that you saw in here, let me kind of pop off there, is this one right here, which was in July, and they gave a green bullish signal at that period of time, and then we saw this kind of run up here. So not bad calls in both of these. I mean, sure, it dropped a little bit right here when the bear signal was identified. This had risen a little bit before the bullish signal had identified it, but a lot of run up here. The bearish, now where they didn't get it right was right here in this area right here where it's getting a lot of volatility. And this goes back to my point, anytime we're measuring, things like Axie, or we're measuring things like, Shiba or Doge, maybe even XRP to a certain extent, once we see some volatility that really starts to impact that particular project, it's hard to measure it accurately in the sense of how quickly it can rise or fall. Now, what we can get is indicators that push us up or down, which in many cases are right on. And I think that's what is happening here with Token Metrics' view of that. But anyway, sand is definitely on fly right now. If you were holding sand, you guys have been in a really good position because it has not really moved a lot over the past month or so. But let me go back to the 6 month just to give you an idea of its erratic nature. Right here has been what we've been looking at right here over the 3 month period. A lot of movement down and sideways until we saw this essential hit right here. And again, that is the Facebook effect, really looking at where all of these companies and shedding light on all of that for sure. Another company that you should look at is Mana. And this is just showing you another price target that hit and did well on both sentiment rising, though it had not flipped, but it did get, we didn't pull a full analysis on this one. I just wanted to show you how quickly this one rose and how quickly it fell back into more market positions. When you look at the number of companies that are out there in the space right now, we're going to go through several of them that breaks down not the entire metaverse. There's so many different projects that are really moving in this space, but this is just gets you moving in the right direction. Now remember, these market movers are very basic like this in the sense that we give you a little bit of data, a little bit of research, and help you get your basically your feet under you and get you on your way on your own research journey around maybe in this case the metaverse and the projects that are lying underneath the metaverse in terms of the NFT gaming projects. So lots happening in this space. So I want you guys to make sure and do your research, not investment advice. All right, so another one is ETHverse. This is another one that, and I just wanted to pull coin market cap on this one. This is another one that really just kind of jumped, not necessarily for any reason other than just the news, I think, with Facebook, and we've continued to see that. That's the 7-day. Here's the 1-day, just to show you activity on this one. Additionally, with this one, we also saw Red Fox move in the same kind of scenario. Here's their 1-day, moving from right down here at what was a nickel and now trading right at 10 cents. So a nice 2x for someone that has really moved in and understanding Red Fox Labs. Just to give you an idea of what Red Fox Labs is doing, they are after the retail side of the metaverse. And I think this is a really big project in terms of opportunity, addressable market, because gaming, though I do believe is still going to be the most and the largest addressable market when it comes to it, but retail will be right in behind it in terms of what the opportunity is as we start to see retail companies start to incorporate metaverse opportunities here. So I think this is going to be interesting, called Discover Vault, which is Red Fox Vault. Interesting stuff, though, in the sense of can they pull it off? And who would be the first few companies that you think on the retail side, think retail, I'm thinking maybe like a big restaurant chain might jump into this, maybe a movie theater, someone like that. Or what other kind of company do you think would really go into this? Maybe an online clothing company going into this aspect. There's a lot there. I'd love to get your comments on where you think and what you think in terms of retail jumping into the metaverse, maybe through like a Red Fox. But you should check that one out as well. And back to Red Fox's chart, just to kind of show you that movement right there. But very interesting stuff just for one. And this just shows you how big the effect of Facebook moving into this space will be for not only the ecosystems, but many of the gaming companies that are also going to flow with this. This is where it's going to get very interesting. And I think this is where we're going to see massive, massive gains in a lot of these projects, meaning NFT gaming projects and some of these kinds of ecosystems that are really starting to accelerate in terms of their development. I am really interested, though, in what Facebook is going to do. Then you've got things like Decentral Games. This, of course, is a play to earn, gaming in the metaverse. This is another big project that I think, including things like Ice Poker. Lots happening here with this one. Where NFTs, play poker, earn ice. This is very similar to what we're seeing in the Axie universe out there. Then, of course, Decentraland. You guys have all been there. You're probably invested in Decentraland. You probably should check this one out. It's another one that also popped. There are also a couple of indexes that you should follow to help you keep at least aware of what's happening in the space, because the indexes are a little bit difficult to, I won't necessarily say one index is going to be like a coin market cap that's going to give you all of them, but at least it's a start in the right directions of where these indexes are going in terms of maybe where your investment is, if you're playing in this area in terms of NFT gaming or in some of these ecosystems right here. One of these index right here is indexcoop.com, and just go over there. You can go to the Metaverse Index, MVI. Let me just kind of show you this one right here. So this gives you an example of what they've cornered as the Metaverse Index and where that particular market is setting at right now. So market cap right there at 32.23, net assets, and then you kind of see where it's going overall. And then, of course, here's the companies that they're essentially allocating, tracing against right now. There's Illuvium, obviously Axie, and then you've got Engine, Mana, Sand, audio. If you haven't checked out Audius, you should probably check that project out. That's an interesting one for podcasting and sound. DG, Earn Whale. Then you got Rarible, NFTX, etc. So this is a good example of, just a place to kind of connect the dots on where a lot of this stuff is going. Another one that I thought was interesting was this one right here, PieDAO.org. And theirs is I feel like this one is a little bit more tuned into like the coin market cap of this particular side of things when you really start to drill down into these, because this is really going after the allocation breakdown that they've got in their own investments. So Axie, Engine, Mana, Sand, some of the ones that we've talked, and then there's Audius again. So, and then there's UOS, so Ultra. I like that one. Illuvium, there's Red Fox, good example. So you can kind of see this gets you back into understanding where the big plays potentially are and what that might look like, especially if you're doing research and trying to figure out which investments you're going to take if you're going off the grid. Now remember that there's two strategies out there that I've seen work with this, and one of them is like even a strategy I use, and that is where you're actually pulling profits off of the traditional blue chip projects and reallocating those profits into some of these more risky projects, whether it's an NFT game or a metaverse, application or protocol. But be aware, these are very risky, but they do have the opportunity to do some 10x. My strategy is pretty simple, and that is for me, it's taking 10 projects that I really like across that network and starting to allocate an equal amount of funds into each of those 10 and letting those projects let them run, knowing that 1, 2, 3, 5 of those projects might go to zero, might not do well. But there are going to be projects within there that absolutely hit home runs. This is much like how angel investors work. It's the same kind of investment mentality, is you have to get your money in the game, because you can never hit a big investment or a unicorn if you're not in the market and really learning about those. So that's where the research is really going to do you well. So make sure and jump into that. I'm going to get to a couple of questions before we kind of jump out of here and get on to some other things. But lots happening in the markets today. ETH is flying. We've got Bitcoin, of course, in a really good position here. So let's go, Leo Mars. All right, a word about the metaverse, UFO gaming. UFO gaming, of course, was a big hit. That was, I think, a Becker call not too long ago. He was recommending that one, and it ended up being amazing in terms of overall. Is it too late to get in that? That's probably one we should probably do an analysis on. I'd like to see where the sentiment data holds on that one. So I'm going to check on that one for you, Leo, or Leo. All right, we got a super chat coming in, looks like. Yep. All right. So Rider for Life. Hey man, thanks so much for the super chat. Great to have people like you on the channel. Man, I tell you, the channel has been growing like crazy lately, and good. We were also a little bit trying to figure out whether or not we should go much deeper into the NFT projects. Obviously, we've been in the altcoin side of things in terms of our analysis. We cover the blue chips. We go deep into the protocols, the technologies that run all this stuff. So you get a lot of those CEO expert interviews, things like that. And thanks for all the info on that too, because we get a lot of leads from you guys, especially on Twitter. By the way, hit me up on Twitter @PaulBaron if you have something you want to us to check out. I read all my tweets. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. And then if we can DM, yeah, definitely we will do that. I like that. Yeah. So let's go to Corey Alpin. How is Sand not on Coinbase? I agree with you, Corey. That one at least should be. That is a good example of where Coinbase is still a very conservative investment platform. And listen, I love it, but the reality is you're probably going to be better or more expansive on things like KuCoin if you haven't started to move over into that. Another one that I would mention to you guys, I know this is a little crazy, a little bit off the wall, is Pionex. You should check them out as well. We should probably do a video on those guys. It's a great bot trading, but it's also a way for you to exchange or get to some tokens that are a little harder to get to. And of course, you can use that as a gateway over into your MetaMask accounts. to where you can start doing some things on PancakeSwap, stuff like that. So a lot going over there. Okay, let's go. Andrew Sawyers, I did not hit on block. That, I mean, we had a list that was pretty deep, so I want to try to get to those. We're going to have a lot more coverage on the metaverse and really kind of diving into some of the projects themselves. This video is really about giving you an awareness of what's happening in the metaverse so you can get out there and really understand what projects are moving. The typical ones, you know, with Mana, Sand, etc., Decentraland, many of those you've probably already been tracking most likely, but there's so many others that are really in very early stages. So they should be ones that you should be looking at and watching. Another super chat coming in from Real Talk. Immutable X, man, you just hit it on the head. That is one we really need to dive into. This is one we've been watching very closely for about 3 weeks to 4 weeks. And it's definitely one of those projects I think is under the radar still, even though it is a high performer. It's still a little bit under the radar in terms of the overall system. But great call there, man. Great call there. All right. And yes, all right, let's go. Everyone, Bob Hayes. Everyone is starting to hear about crypto, Web 3.0 now, especially with this news. So that's a good point, Bob, is that Facebook mainstreams this. And when you have, because listen, everybody and your grandmother and all your friends in your neighborhood are on Facebook. When they start hearing this, now some of this will be, what is the metaverse, just like other projects that Facebook has taken on over the years. But eventually, when Facebook dumbs this down, because they will, if they dumb this down to a level that it's easy enough for middle America, and that's not a knock on middle America, it's just some people don't have every waking hour like we do to invest into technology, research, and understanding this stuff. They just want to live their lives. And I think that's the big jump. Now, will it be there early? I think Facebook may be a little early because either one, he's got something and he is going to do a drop launch on it, or he's just trying to position Facebook so at least they're not looking like they're lagging because they still have, you know, a stock position to hold for Wall Street, et cetera. So good point there on that, Bob Hayes. So another super chat, Crucible Crypto, missed the beginning. Have you already talked about Shibaku? Looks like a hell of a metaverse project. These are some more good ones. And these are the kind of things that we do want from you guys. We love the fact that you guys can give us these kinds of insights and drop projects to us that either one we've seen, but we have not done a lot of research on. Because that sets our research wheels in motion. Our team gets going. We'll try to look in a little deeper and really go into that. All right, so let's go in here. A couple of Josephs in here. Joseph, all right, super chat. Joseph Enox, thoughts of, oh man, this is a good one. Thoughts on Disney's NFT announcement with Veeb. This was a good one. We did not cover this. We probably should have done a video on this. One of our guys here in the studio is a big Disney fan. He follows this. I would call him one of the Disney experts out there. But he understands, and I agree with him in the sense that NFTs, when it comes to Disney, at some point in the game, Disney is going to absolutely be an 800-pound gorilla in that area very quickly. So I'm looking for partnerships. I think partnerships are going to be the key thing, but obviously just the current lineage of what Disney has in terms of content, that in itself is probably going to keep them busy for the next 5 years. But I look for that. I'm looking for a metaverse application with Disney. Can you imagine a metaverse environment with Disney? That would be absolutely killer because it's going to give you year-round access to that kind of generation. And think about just the advertising and the promotion that Disney could do to amplify the theme parks, movies, and so on. Big opportunity there. All right, let's go here. Lots of good stuff here. Gas prices definitely criminal right now. We've seen that. ETH is upside down right now in terms of just the gas fees. Here's a good one. Alimo Ribeiro, Altura. That's another big project that we've yet to really dive into. It's on our list. Definitely. I got, you know, our control king back there. He's just shaking his head, loving that one. Go Altura, go Altura. I like it. Bullish Bear, another metaverse project launching, Awakening. These are some great ones. You guys are into this stuff. Man, I love to see the fact that you guys are actually diving into the research, digging up these gems and pulling that stuff in for others to learn about. Because I think the key here with metaverse projects, NFT gaming, just in general, is getting that early adopter, because you guys are that. You're here before the crowds. You're watching these videos before everybody else picks this up a year from now and watches this and is jumping into NFT gaming a year from now. You guys are ahead of that game. So kudos to you guys out there. For you guys that are watching this that are new, not a problem. It's so early in the game. I kind of recall this to what happened in the early internet days a lot when I lived in those days and actually was doing a lot of development in those times. It's very similar. It has a lot of those kind of similarities, and I think that's where we are right now. Super, super early. All right, let's go here with some others. Bullish Bear, check out Party Apes, next blue chip NFT. Party Apes, haven't seen that one, so that'd be a good one to look at. And then what should I buy? Low cap metaverse gym. That's probably a good video we should drop into, because a lot of these right now that we just gave you are pumped because of the Facebook news. But what I want you to do is circle around what that list is and kind of go from there, because that in itself, I'm going to give you kind of just a rundown here quickly. So Decentraland we covered, Sandbox, Division Network, DVI. Should maybe take a look at that one. Ultra ORS, we didn't go into that one, but we showed it. Decentral, Games, DG, ETHverse, Somnium, which is Space Cube, Starlink, which is STARL, just some others that you should look into. Over, just OVR, Grid Zone, ZONE, and then Polka City, POLC. Then you get into Arcona, Neos credits, and Sensorium. Those are all projects that are kind of moving that, to answer your question there. So tons within there to give you the steps in to start researching some of these right there, Mac Paul. All right, cool stuff. You guys are killing it in the comments. Thank you so much for all the for all the questions today. Good stuff, man. This is great. Very cool. All right, last thing is make sure jump into the Diamond Circle. Get in there, because guess what? Next Tuesday we're giving away some big money. And that is going to be fun because it's my birthday. So we're going to have a party. And you guys are going to be part of it. And hopefully it's going to be a fun time. And we'll do a great live stream. And hopefully there's some really good topics to be hitting on. If not, we'll be giving some good breakdowns. We may do a Diamond Circle rundown of token analysis for you. So put the tokens that you want us to look at a little deeper. Maybe it's some NFT projects, maybe it's some games, maybe it's some of these ecosystems. Drop them in there. We'll try to get to as many as we can and really do a big offload for you guys. So good stuff. And maybe do some extensions so you can get to that in the Diamond Circle itself. But it's free to join, easy to get to. Just follow the link. If you're over on the podcast right now, make sure and come over here to the YouTube channel. It's the best way to get all this analysis right there visually. Even if you like listening, just, I know if you got to be on YouTube Premium to do that, but if you like listening, you can listen to it and do some other things, but you can also catch all these great guests and all that stuff right here on the YouTube channel, and you're going to get all the latest, greatest, of course, as well. And you're going to get it faster than when it hits our podcast. So our podcast actually comes out after our YouTube stream. So hit me up on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.